All right. We are live once more. And guess what? There's another update for Flight Simulator. Here I was thinking we could get this game footage captured, but it appears as though there is going to be a little bit more updates here. And I already have Game Pass. Hang on a second. Give me a second here, everybody. I got to get situated here. We got to get live on Amazon also. So we're going to be doing some game footage today. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. We're just going to do. All right. I think I claimed this already. So hang on a second. Do I like the Xbox app? Not now. Okay. There's an update for this. There's an update for the updater, and then. My goodness, look at all these updates. All right, so let's get that one going. Hang on a second. What is going on here? So yeah, we're going to do that. Flight Simulator has an update, so let's get that one done. I'm guessing. Oh, it looks like Flight Simulator did finish. Okay, so that one's installing. We're going to start the download on this one, and let's go back to Flight Simulator. Now, the last time we did this. Oh, I'm unlisted on YouTube, so let me get my YouTube thing unlisted here, or relisted. And I got to change the thumbnail too. So the last time we did this, we had all these updates that we had to run. So hopefully, give me 1 second here to get this thumbnail situated here. So hopefully this will work this time. And we're going to be doing a little Flight Simulator to start with. And then we'll get going with a few other things. But now I can't seem to find. No, I deleted it. Okay, so let's restore that one. And we're just going to drag this over to. Yes, apparently I forgot to unlist I forgot to set the YouTube thing up properly. So give me 1 second here while I go and find my thumbnail. It was on my list of import. There it is. Let's grab this one. Just export this back to YouTube. Update my thumbnail. I knew I was forgetting to do something when I set this up. And the one thing you got to do on YouTube, of course, is get your thumbnails and titles properly situated. So now we're public. Okay. So it'll be a little lopsided. All right, so we got to do, what is going on here? So we tried to do this stream the other day where we were going to do some Flight Simulator to start with. And I keep getting dumped out and brought back to this screen. So let me just see. I mean, I just spent like a whole day updating this game. So let me click on it and see if that might get us the update here. What's going on? So I have this on Game Pass. All right, so I should be able to just play this. This is installed already. So let's see what happens. If not, we have to just run the updater on it and get that going. So bear with me, everybody. We will get this going if it kills me, because this was like what held us up the last time we were streaming, was trying to get Flight Simulator to actually play. So let me go back to the Xbox app here and see if that, because I did update the updater. Okay, here it goes. Oh, there's an update there. Okay, hang on a second. So let's close this out. Let's update this. And now I think, there it goes. Okay, so there's one more 390 megabyte updater, and then we can play the game. So bear with me, folks. 1 second. We just got to get the update installed, and then we'll start playing around with it. Now, the Lenovo tower here, while we're waiting, this is a Legion 7 tower. We're going to be donating this to one of the local schools in the area. This was one they provided for that purpose, but I figured I would review it. So this has got a RTX 3080 on board. It is a pre-built system, which of course is not without its controversies within the PC gaming community. But sometimes I think a lot of consumers just want to buy something and take it out of the box and play with it. So that is exactly what this one is all about. And what I wanted to do the other day was just, so I'm going to be doing a review of this. I wanted to just capture some game footage of it operating. And we had got some footage shot. In fact, I'll show you some of that while we're waiting for Flight Simulator to load here, because I have no doubt it will ask me to do some other update once it starts up here. So I will show you some of the footage that we captured earlier. Now this, of course, has an RTX 3080 on board. And so, all right, we'll just let this kind of roll, turn off the audio here. So this was Forza Horizon 4. And this was captured at 4K. And it ran great. So this was the benchmark that it runs. And throughout the course of that benchmark, we were getting 60 frames per second, pretty solid with everything cranked up. And this machine has it's an Intel i9, a 10400 if I'm not mistaken. And then it's got 32 gigs of RAM and the 3080. So it's pretty well equipped, I think. All right, so now it's like, really? Oh, this is a very quick update. Okay, so I think we should be good here. So I think we finally might actually get this to load. So what happened last time was that there was like there was an update for the software, and then there was another update, and that was kind of what made it difficult. So now, what I thought I would do is show you a little Microsoft Flight Simulator running on this thing. I do have to set the settings on this a little. So we'll figure out where we go from there. William Wilkinson is here. Hello there. Romeric is here. Ayan Khan is here. Hello. Dava is here. Travis is here. Shabbat Shalom to you, Eric. Yeah, I'm not supposed to do things on Shabbat, but this is for the good of the channel. So I think this is loading still. Let's see what we get here. Now, I don't have my flight yoke and my rudder pedals. I do have some upstairs, and we'll see if there's enough of an interest. Maybe we'll play around with that. Part of the reason why I haven't done much with those things yet is because I haven't figured out how to get the ones that I have properly calibrated. So that's been the one issue here that I have been struggling with. All right, so let's go to full screen. And let's see. So these are the graphics settings. So it looks like we're mostly like on ultra for this. So I don't know to what extent how this will perform. So we'll see what happens when we get it loaded. So let's go and do a discovery flight. These are fun because they're like really simple things. You can just pop in and just start flying around. So we could do New York. We can do Bora Bora, Naples, Giza, Mount Everest. Let's do Everest. And we're going to be at 25,000 feet, which is lower than the peak of Everest, if I'm not mistaken. So the mountain will be fairly close to us here. Now, with these scenery flights, what it does is it puts you in the third-person perspective, as you can see. It looks like we got a nice little King Air here. So you're outside of the aircraft for this mode only. And then you can you can see the effect of certain dynamics here. So what I'm doing here is, this is the camera control. This is the exterior view. And then, of course, we can go into the first-person view. But right now it's running at about 55 frames per second, which is pretty good. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? I'll give you the full screen picture here. So it's pretty good. And you can see the rudder controls here. And we're moving at 180 knots. So this is where you want to have rudder pedals, because you got to be really light on the controls. So watch, here's the left rudder, okay? So if I push it down too far, so that I can work with, right? But if you go like that, you push it all the way in, you're going to have some problems, especially at this airspeed. Although I think by default it's got a lot of controls built in to keep you from having too many problems. And my throttle level, So I have to get a feel for these controls. I'm not sure what does what with the Xbox controller. Like I said, I usually use my flight yoke with these. But my flight yoke, so I have a flight yoke and I have, I also have a pair of rudder pedals from CH Products. Oh, a little lag there. But I found that they are very sensitive. The yoke works better than the rudder pedals. The rudder pedals, just I'm having a hard time getting a feel for what it should really feel like. But we're at pretty high settings here, and this is running, so when I put the cockpit up, that reduced the frame rate significantly. So we were running at almost 60 outside of the aircraft, but I'm guessing when you're inside, it has to render all of this stuff. So for example, when I'm hitting the yoke here, and of course it has to generate all of the avionics system as well. So that gives it is a bit of a hit there. I think we're going to hit the terrain, probably, yes. There you go. You crashed. All right, so let's go back to the main menu. And we'll take a look at a few of the other things there. I should probably record something, but I was looking to see what kind of scenery would work best. Let's do New York. Let's try that. Hey, Matt Reese is here. Hey, Matt. Yes, so they do have VR. I did try it. It cuts the settings down significantly, but I haven't tried it with this new update, so it might be a little better. But I found it is better than X-Plane, I thought, in VR. It seems to perform better. And I was doing some flights out of Chester with it to see how that worked. And Matt knows Chester Airport quite well. Romerick says, flight simulator finally. George is here. Miguel is here. I'm not sure what you're talking about with the regulations. Are you talking about the thermostats? Let me know. So you know, I'll do is I'll put the specs of the PC in the pinned chat. So I think it's an i9 10400K. I think is the. Yeah, I'll get the exact specs on this. Give me 1 second. I'll look it up for you. So bear with me on that. I will get the specs up momentarily. I'm just looking for my email here that tells me what's in there. Okay, so this is a i9 10900K. It's a pretty beefy system. So 32 gigs of RAM, and it's a 3080, an RTX 3080. So, oh, so Miguel's talking about the, yeah, so I looked into this, and actually Jay's 2 Cents, I thought, did the best video on this, because the issue is not so much with the power consumption of the computer, it is how it is set for idle usage. And I think that was the restriction that they're under. So I don't think it's as big of an issue as perhaps people are making it out to be. I think it's just a matter of getting the system to sleep at the proper power level. And I'm guessing they probably couldn't demonstrate that, and that's probably why they restricted it. All right. Let me pin this comment here. All right, so now we're in a Cessna 172, and we're going to go buzz Central Park. How does that sound? So this is running at a much lower frame rate. Again, we're at like ultra settings here, so that's part of the reason. And you can see, so we're running at about 40 frames per second here. I'll give you the closer view. And my trim is, I don't know how to set the trim on this either. My trim is a little off here, so I'm going to try to keep pitching down here. So we're flying through Central Park right now. And the fans are really cooking on it now. So we're going at about 45 frames per second, but this is at 4K ultra settings. And we'll see if I trip the circuit breaker in the house here. And then we'll do a little climb out. I don't know where the throttle controls are. Let me look down and see what what the throttle, how do we do the throttle? Okay, so the throttle, so that's out, that's in. Okay, there we go. I'm just trying to see how that translates on the controller here. All right, so that's the wheel lock. Looks pretty good though, doesn't it? I have to say, like, the visuals in Flight Simulator are remarkable. And we'll just pitch away from the buildings here. I'm gonna fly casual, as they say. And then I can pop back out to the outdoor view here. Let me do a little screen capture here. Now, of course, you would be in a lot of trouble flying a Cessna at this altitude. Look at the rainbow. That's pretty. I wonder if we can find like some of the places I go to in Manhattan. We can go find Grand Central Station, which should be... Here, let's go loop back around here. Yeah, so this is running at 45 frames per second right now. And then, of course, if we go back in, now what's interesting though is we don't take as much of a frame rate hit on this cockpit as we were on the other one. And I think it might be that this has less avionics on board. But this is definitely a fancier Cessna because you've got the updated avionics. A lot of Cessnas don't have these fancy screens. I'm supposed to do a little rudder when I turn here. You see some of the really cool lighting effects here. So as you look up, the Brooklyn Bridge looks a little solid there, doesn't it? Let's see if we can fly. I don't think we could. I'm a skilled enough pilot to fly under the Brooklyn Bridge, so we'll just kind of loop around. And you can see they have traffic moving across it. So a little bit of a glitch in the matrix there. And there's cars in the water. Yeah, so they need to do a little bit of work over here, it looks like, but I should be able to fly under that. There we go. Pretty cool, huh? That was a legit fly under. I have crashes enabled here. Although I think I have like auto stall. I think all the AI assistance to prevent me from crashing is on. Here, let's go look at we'll turn off all the assistance options. Let's do that real quick. So I'm going to go and just turn. Oh, I can't turn these off. Why is that? We have to do that somewhere else, it looks like, huh? All right, we'll come back to that. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun to fly a Cessna in easy mode because this is not the kind of maneuvering you can get away with on a Cessna for real. Let's see how high we can climb this thing too also. It's like you cannot, so I'm hitting the stall speed, actually not quite yet. Let's see. We're getting there. So what you want to look for is that red line there under. So once you get like to 40 knots, you're not flying much anymore. Although I don't think, and Matt Reese, who flies these planes, can tell me, I don't think you could pitch this high and not. Yeah, now we're hitting that. So what'll happen here is I can go like pull up real hard here, and you'll see we'll stall. See? And just turn into the stall and correct, hopefully. And again, we're on like super AI here, so things are. Yeah, so the Brooklyn Bridge doesn't look too good in whatever update this is. I'll do another screen capture here. But it looks real, doesn't it? So this, and I'm guessing the performance is going to vary based on which cockpit you're in, and also where you're flying, right? But the realism is really remarkable on Flight Sim, I think. But it feels weird because all of these like AI controls are on, so I'm guessing it's probably due to the Discovery flight mode that we're in, or the tourism mode that we're in. So now what we could do, here, let me back out of this real quick. So let's go to, yeah, it's not letting me touch those yet. I think what we have to do is go back to the main menu. And if we wanted like more realism, I think we have to do like a regular flight. So if you have, by the way, if you have Game Pass, you have this right now. So you can just download this even on your Xbox and play with it. So if I go to the world map here, and we can choose the aircraft. So they have a bunch of different airplanes to choose from. So we were flying that King Air 350i. So we can do a citation. Now I didn't buy any extra planes, but they've got like an Airbus A320neo. That's the plane that took me to Europe when I went to Germany. We have a 747. And some of these get really complicated. And you've got like this little diamond airplane. So this doesn't go very fast. It's only 136 knots. But this one looks kind of fun. So let's do that one, because that'll give us a better view, I think, of the cockpit. And why don't we depart from, here, we can depart from the airport that's close to me here. And it will match the weather to like what your weather is like at your particular location, which is pretty fun. And I'm going to turn off all the assistance. It loads up fairly quickly, I think. Travis says, yeah, I'm surprised by that too. I think they've been doing a lot of optimization just recently to get it to run a lot better. So I think the performance that we're seeing here is much, much better. And so Matt Reese, this airport's going to look familiar. This is the little airport that's near my house. And they actually got it fairly close to what it looks like in real life. So let's turn off all the assistance here. I think I can do that now. Yeah, so we're going to say aircraft systems. We're going to turn off. Failure and damage, the navigation aids, we're going to turn. So I'm going to leave that on just because it's good to find things. But I want to make some of these crash damage, stress damage, engine stress. I'll turn that on. Icing effect is on. There's an option for, so auto rudder is off, assisted yoke is off. It will do the checklist. That'll be helpful. Okay, I think we're good. I think I turned off most of the stuff here. All right, so now, and again, I'm playing with an Xbox controller, which is not ideal, but it should work pretty well. So what I want to do is I need to get the parking brake released. I think there's a parking brake on this one. It looks like it. It looks like that's the yoke. Parking brake. Where did I see that? There it is. Parking brake. Off. And let's get going on throttle here. And now you'll see it's pulling to the left a bit, and that's because the engine, the prop will pull you to the left on takeoff. So you got to give it a little bit of rudder here. I have this problem on my other one too. I have to get used to the. There we go. The left rudder here, and then we can. Oh, I didn't have enough airspeed. See, then I'm going to go flying into the. So my advice would be, you don't want to get into an airplane with me just yet, especially if I'm using an Xbox controller to fly the plane. So that is my advice to you. Hey, Red Techie from around the corner is here. We're doing a little Microsoft Flight Simulator. And the one thing about the airport here, so it looks fairly close to what it really looks like. So I'll show you. So these buildings are not, it doesn't look as big as this is here. So there's no hangar there. There's actually a factory next door. So they kind of took some artistic license on that. And then the airport itself is a lot smaller. But it actually looks fairly close to what it actually looks like in real life. Now what I got to get used to is using this Xbox controller. So bear with me here. And let's give it a little throttle again. And I don't know what on the Xbox controller actually controls the throttle, because this controls the view. And this, of course, is our flight yoke. As I move the controller here, it'll move that around. That'll center the view. That brings up our menu. So I know I can just use the mouse here to do it, but it would be nice if I knew what these buttons did. All right, we'll just go ahead and lock her in. Oh, I see. I can hold down access Y to interact. Okay. View back up here. And the trick will be to keep her on the runway long enough that I can get some airspeed. And I don't know what the V1 of this aircraft is, but it's probably more than what I had before. Yes, we're almost there. This may need a little bit more runway than I thought it needed. All right. Oh, wrong thing. There we go. Oh, I'm stalling. Hang on. Whoa, whoa. So that plane is not a good one to start with. Let me go back to the main menu here. And it's hard to, in fairness, it's hard on the Xbox controller to keep everything straight because I'm not used to this. So let's go back to the world map. I'm going to do the Cessna because I'm embarrassing myself here. So we're gonna keep it simple with the Cessna. So we're gonna do the Cessna 172. Doesn't need a lot of runway, and it's a beautiful day here. So this is mapped to the current weather conditions too. And we'll just depart from Chester again. All right, and you can start it so you're on approach. So if you wanted to learn how to land, you can do that. And I got some nice comments from some friends here. Hello. Thank you. Abdul Rahman. Let me get this, see if I get it right here. Abdul Rahman Bahaba. Let me know if I got that right. And let's see what else we got for some folks joining us here. D. Johnson is here. Hello. Eric's right. Yeah, I'll fly out of Philly next. Let's see how we can do. We can try to take the Cessna off from Philly. And Sean Flay says A and B control the throttle. That'll help. So let's try that now. All right. So now we're in the Cessna. I'm going to get my parking brake off. And what A and B, he said, control the throttle. So I'm guessing here. Okay, to increase engine power gradually, press and hold A. Okay, there we go. So press and hold A will increase the throttle. There we go. There we go. We'll just keep it to the right here. And as you'll see, this plane does not need as much runway as that last one we were playing with. So we're almost to our takeoff speed here already. All right, now we'll ease her up. There we go, much better. All right, so now we are gaining altitude. We successfully took off here. Yeah, so it looks like that other plane needed a little bit more runway, I think. Because it's a very short field, the one I leave from. And I'll take you on a little tour of where I live. How does that sound? So this is what it looks like. Actually, my sister's house is right down a little bit from here. And here, I'll give you a better view of what we're seeing here. So this is 4K, pretty much full settings. And as you can see, there's not as much scenery here. But it's running about what we saw with the New York City thing we were playing with before. So that kind of gives you an idea of that. And this is called Cedar Lake right here, right below us. That's Cedar Lake. And then over here, I'll take you over here real quick. This is the Connecticut River over here. So just to show you that I am capable of taking off in a Cessna and not crashing it. That's why when you take flying lessons, they always start you in one of these. How much VRAM is this using? I have no idea. I could look up in a second. Let me pause it real quick and see if we can get a readout on the VRAM. So performance, it is using about, it's using about 6.7 gigabytes out of 10 right now on the VRAM, in case you're wondering. Let me go back in the cockpit here. These planes are tricky because you really, they're, for the most part, I mean, some of the newer ones have autopilots, but they're generally pretty manual operations here. All right, so now we got to keep an eye on our airspeed because we are going to level off here a bit. Now, I don't know what the trim controls are on the Xbox controller, so we'll have to play around with that a little bit. But we've got, this is pretty much where I live. We got the Connecticut River over here. And this is, I'll get down a little bit. I'll show you one of the parts of my town that are really nice. So we'll see how well they model this. Isn't that pretty? And I'll tell you what, like I fly out of this airport. I don't fly myself just yet, but I've flown out of this airport that we left from, and this really does look pretty accurate. Although, like you can see, they have some issues. So they kind of intermix visuals from satellite imagery. So you can see with the marina here, the boats are kind of like falling in the water. All right, we got to let off the throttle here a little bit. So let's we're pitching up a bit. Before we crash the airplane here again. So you got to keep an eye on your airspeed all the time because we are in manual mode here. And so beyond the river is the Long Island Sound, which we're on the way to. And Red Techie around the corner. Looks very familiar, doesn't it, Red Techie? This is where we live, right? More or less. And I think downtown Essex is over in front of us, if I'm not mistaken, or we may have already passed it. That might have been it back there. What's funny is that it looks real enough from the sky, but when you dive into the details of things that you're familiar with on the ground, especially in these small areas, small towns, it's a little trickier. So I think this might be, actually this might be it over here. So we'll dial back the throttle a little bit here. And we haven't called into air traffic control or anything, so we are just kind of, flying around a bit recklessly at the moment. And I think this is Route 9. This is a state highway. Should we try an emergency landing on the highway? We could give that a shot. Coming in a little too fast to land here, but you can get a feel for some of the traffic effects, which are pretty cool. And we're getting a little too close to the trees here. Yeah, so you don't really want to fly the way that I'm flying, partly because I'm losing altitude. I think I gave it some throttle here. And you can also see how many trees there are around here, which makes it tough. Like if you have to make an emergency landing around here, there's really not many options. Landing in the water is always an option, but these aircraft have fixed wheels. So when you hit the water at the bare minimum, when you hit the water at the bare minimum airspeed, you know, that can create some issues because you're basically going to flip over. Oh, losing airspeed again. Yeah, so I'm not like flying this the way I should be flying it. But what's neat about this, especially if you get the flight yoke and the rudder pedals, it will feel pretty real. And the VR really helps too. The VR gives you a nice sense of immersion. The visual quality drops dramatically in VR. I haven't really played too. I really want to get more into it. Part of it is I'm really frustrated with my rudder pedals right now, so I've got to get them like calibrated to the right setting. But so let's throw out some requests here. I am willing to take some requests for airports. So I have let's see. Eric wants to see the Newcastle, Delaware airport. So let's try that. So we're going to go back up to the main menu. And we'll try that airport out and see if it looks accurate to what he remembers it. So we'll say departure airport. We'll say Newcastle. Let's see. I'm not sure if you have the airport code, that would really help. I don't know if it's this one or this one. So let me know if that. Let me know which one it is, and I'll leave from that one. Why don't we do Las Vegas real quick? That one's always kind of. Actually, you know what we should do? Let's do Kona, Hawaii. I think that's the one that I flew into. Let me look it up real quick. The KOA. KKOA, I guess. Again. Why can't I find it? Let's just type in Hawaii. Maybe that'll give us a better. I'm just trying to see if I can find the airport in Hawaii that I flew into. Oh, here we go. And so it's got to pull this down off the internet, so this will take a minute or two. So this game has to be connected to the internet in order for it to work. So it works with Azure cloud services and all that kind of stuff. So Matt needs some help with, yes, Matt, give me a call. We have to catch up anyhow. Oh, and so it's not quite nighttime there yet, but it looks like that's what it set it to. So we can go in, if I don't like the conditions here, what I can do is change those. So I think if we, general options here, I think I can turn it to daytime. I'm trying to remember how to do the daytime shift here. Let's go to ready to fly. Because we obviously want to see this during the day, because nighttime doesn't give you much. What's cool though is you can fly at night and you can get a feel for how all this stuff works. So what I'm going to do is, how did I pull up that menu before? Let's see, let me go back to the main menu. So I want to set it to daytime just because the visuals are amazing. So let's try this again. And so you set the flight conditions here. So this is the Kona Airport in Hawaii. And what I want to do is set the flight conditions. So right now it says it's, oh, you know what? This is on Pacific time. The computer's on the wrong time. That's why the time is all screwed up. So we're going to set this to, we'll do like, I don't know, we'll do like 8 a.m. And it's got it set to May for some reason. But that gives you a feel for what the weather would be like, you know, at that time of year. So now, oops. Oops, I went too far out. Hang on. Sorry, everybody. So we have it now set for 8 a.m. Perfect. Okay, so we're good there. And let's go to fly and see. That should give us a daytime flight now. Oh, in some places I can just hover the mouse over the screen. That would be easier, wouldn't it? And then we'll check out EGNT next. And it looks pretty desolate here because you're like right on the edge of all of this. It's like a lava, you know, it's just a bunch of lava. All right, so let's get the parking brake set. Make sure our flight yoke is functional here. Yeah, we're good there. And we'll get this sucker off the ground here. And normally you'd have to call air traffic control and, you know, do all that kind of stuff, but where we're going here, there are no rules. We just fly wherever the heck we want. So this is like a runway you land 747s on. So it's a much bigger runway than what we had before. Oops, sorry, a little too much rudder. I promise not to make anyone terribly ill on this flight. Oops, a little too much rudder. All right, I think we're good to take off. It just bounces a little bit because I'm not used to the controller. You got a very fine stick movement here to get this going right. Looks like a little cloudy here. But you know what we'll do is we'll dial back the clouds. So let's go to the weather. And we'll turn off live weather. Here we go, much better. It's like you're like a deity. You can just set the weather to whatever you want it to be. So I think maybe I flew in, yeah, so you can see some of the lava. So I remember when I was coming in on vacation, it looked like you were just landing in lava, which was really crazy. So that's the Kona Airport in Hawaii. Not as picturesque as you would think it would be, but pretty neat. All right, so let's try EGNT, I think was the one that Eric wanted us to try. So let's go and do that. So departure airport, and he's going to tell us how accurate this looks. EGNT, which is Newcastle. All right, and we're going to do live conditions. And let's see what this looks like. Oops. And then we'll do SHD next. Ben says, great views of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Ooh, they made it all like nighttime here. I'm not sure what's going on in Newcastle. It looks, oh, is that a tornado? Should we try to fly into the tornado? I think we should. And then we'll take a look at the scenery here, see how it lines up. But Eric, you tell me, I haven't been here before. Does this look, does that look close? I'm not sure what's going on in Newcastle right now, but woo. Yeah, it looks like a tornado. Well, let's fly into it, see what happens. What could go wrong, right? I mean, really. Or it could be like a water spout or something. All right, so we're going to fly right into that tornado once we get enough airspeed here. Yeah, it's hard to do rudder pedals with a... oh, you know what that is? That's not a tornado. That's the reflection in the windshield. That's what that is. A little effect of That's what you're seeing there. So we'll improve the weather conditions here a little bit. There we go.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
So how does that look, Eric? Does that look about right? Pretty over there, isn't it? But you could set like hurricane conditions and stuff, so like you can do all sorts of crazy weather. So for example, for the weather, we could say at ground level, you could blast the wind up. You saw that immediately had an impact. That just flung us right up in the air. So you can do like a lot of crazy weather here. So I'm running with a 75 knot wind from the west to east. And then I can set wind layers, like there's all sorts of stuff you can do. I mean, the weather is very robust on this. And then I can add a bunch of clouds, add some cloud scatter if I want. And dial it up for the lower altitudes here. Make it real super ominous. And you can do all that in real time. Pretty cool. Yeah, so it's a little hard to control. Like if you've ever like played flight simulators with a flight yoke and rudders, like that's the, I think ideally the best way to play this. But what's cool is that, you know, for people who have an Xbox, you know, this is a way to like if you master the concepts of this, and there's like a whole training scenario. Like if you master the concepts with this, you've got yourself, you know, kind of an entry point into understanding the basics. What I would say is that like play around with some of the basics, because you can go into the activities here, and they have like a whole flight training thing. So they'll take you from start to finish on flight training. And if you've got like a flight yoke in VR, like what a great way to learn. But I would say, and I was talking to a pilot instructor friend of mine, he said, you know, it's a great place to start, but you also, like before you get too far into it, if you're really into flying, take a discovery flight so you can get a feel for what it really feels like. And you also want to be careful, I think, just from my own perspective, I don't want to develop any bad habits before I'm professionally trained. But it's cool. All right, so let's go and do another airport. Ben has been playing with Truck Simulator. I haven't played that one yet, but that one looks like it'd be kind of fun too. So Eric says he lives and works over there. And Ben loves, yeah, the cockpit modeling is amazing. And you can buy a lot of other cockpits and aircraft for this. So Darren's wondering, what resolution are you looking at? This LG is about a 299 4K, I think. What's this one cost? This one is this is about $300. This is a 4K 60 hertz monitor. Doesn't do HDR or anything. Honestly, like anything that, you know, it depends on like what resolution you need to run it at, but the 1080p monitors, any name brand is probably going to be fine for what you're looking to do there. Let's do a couple more here. And somebody sent me another place to check out, SHD of the Blue Ridge Mountains. So let's look for SHD. And I'm not sure, what's the name of the airport? It's an air base. Here it is, Shenandoah Valley, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so we're gonna take off from here. Should we try a different plane, one that I won't crash? Here, let's do the Cessna 152. I think this is what they do flight lessons with at the airport closest to me. And so the difference between the 152 and the 172 is that the 152 is a two-seater. So it's you and your instructor. It's a really neat aircraft. And you'll see this one will look a little different because this one is going to be a lot more bare bones. So here we are, Shenandoah Valley Regional. So you see here we don't have any advanced avionics. We're a little two-seater. There's like a little storage area in the back there, and that's all you got. And you want to talk about detail. Check out the ailerons there. See that? And then you can also see the elevators there in the back. And then the rudder. You can see the rudder input there too. Isn't that cool? All right, so I think what I want to do though is dial back the weather because we set the weather to be like awful, gruesome. Yeah, so I make sure the winds are where I left them before. Okay, yeah, 2-knot wind, I can deal with that. Okay. You don't want me dealing with a lot of wind right now. So we'll release our parking brake right there. Okay. And yeah, so this is the plane that I like. If you're looking to use like the rudder sticks and stuff, or the rudder pedals and the yoke, this is the plane I would start with, the 152, because this is like the most pure training aircraft I think you'll find. And you can see that there's no digital anything in here really, so you've got to keep an eye on the gauges and understand how they work. Ooh, there we go. So I'm still used to, these controls still take some getting used to. All right, there we go. Nice out here, very pretty. And you can also change the time of year, I believe. So here, we'll get a little altitude. Maybe we can do a little fall foliage trip, right? I'm assuming there's some fall foliage here. So if we go up to the weather, oh, I guess it doesn't update the foliage, huh? Let's see. There you go. Got your snowstorm. A little winter, yeah? Isn't that crazy how fast it all changes? And we can go back to live weather. So I think it's giving us the live weather for the date that we are simulating here. It is beautiful here. So Ben says he lives right down the road. Do you see your house from here? That's the question. But I have to say the visuals are just remarkable on this. And even like when you're on the Xbox or you're on, you know, a lower powered PC, it's still really, really convincing. Especially if you're like on a TV or something. Like I said, the VR is not as good as I would like it to be. I haven't played with it since they updated, so I haven't figured out how to get the trim set on this. Because trimming is really critical to the effort here. So we're going to try to do a landing. I'm not sure how well I'm going to do with the landing because again, these controls are not what I'm used to. Not that I'm any better at landing with the better controls. Oh, what am I doing here? I still have some flaps down too, which is part of my problem here. All right, so we're going to try to David S. wants to know, am I a pilot? No, I am far from a pilot, but I have sat in the front of airplanes many times. So I observe very carefully. So that's what I'm basically going on what I have observed. So we're going to try to land this sucker. I'm going to try to bring her down to 60 knots here. And we're going to turn our plane around here. But this is a fairly realistic simulator. I don't think I've heard of anyone really complaining about the realism here. I need to get a little further out. So from what I gather, they've done a good job in preserving the realism on this one. All right, so I'm almost practically idle here. I'm just trying to bring my airspeed down. And this is why you want to get professional instruction and not rely on the guy with the YouTube channel flying this airplane horrifically poorly. So they call this turning, I think they call this turning base. Let's see if we can turn base here. Now you got to keep an eye on your airspeed. See my airspeed's increasing, so we're going to lower the flaps down 100%. That's going to pitch us up because we're putting a lot of drag on the airplane. It's going to slow us down, and now we've got to add a little more throttle here. What my flight instructor friend tells me is that you've got to control you basically control everything with power at this point, I think is what he told me. But we are probably a little too high. We are going the right speed, around 60 knots here. I think we probably want to get a little slower, but let's see if we can pull this off. No pressure because everybody's watching, right? I'm lining up with the runway pretty well here. A little fast, a little high. All right, so let's see if we can get her down a little bit here. I'm coming in a little crooked. This is not what I would not recommend doing this if you're really flying. But the good news is my airspeed is right on the money, I think. Maybe I'm coming a little too hot. All right, let's pull back a little bit more, go idle. Yes, I'm not lined up with the center line here. And normally this is where you would probably do a go around and try again, but I am just going to flare. Eventually it gives it up. There we go. Yeah, so not ideal. I'm with an Xbox controller here, but this is actually one of the better landings I've done. So hopefully this can inspire somebody to fly an airplane or two. Yeah, and I think my steering's all out of whack here now. Like I said, I have some problems with the control, like understanding what all the controls do here. There apparently is some way to hit the brakes, so we'll do that. Brake, oh, as brakes are X. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. See? Piece of cake. Piece of cake. All right, we got another airport request here. SG, we're gonna do Rio de Janeiro because that was a request from Chanflay. We're gonna stay in our Cessna, I think. So let's do Rio de Janeiro. So we'll go over to main menu. That was a pretty good landing, I have to say. I mean, for a guy with an Xbox controller, live streaming with all that pressure, not bad. Didn't get crazy airspeed. That was good. Okay, departure airport. We're going to do Rio. So we're looking for, what's the airport code here? Chanflay told me SBGL. SBGL. There we go. Rio de Janeiro. Ooh, that looks like a fun one. So let's see what this one looks like. And then, yeah, no problem. I'm taking your. This could be like a new thing we do. Maybe we'll do an airport request night, right? Take me to your airport. I'm gonna do Disney World next, and then. All right, here we go. So we're on the ground in Rio de Janeiro, and let's go and release our parking brake here. Take a look around. All right, we don't need to wait for clearance because I am the clearance. And you can see the airplane will pull just because of the prop rotation. That's going to make you pull, so you got to counteract that with rudder. So it pulls to the left, but you got to be careful not to pull too far in the other direction, like that. Otherwise, you start going all over the place, and that's where whoa, yep. This plane takes off like with no runway. It's like super fast. All right, so what I forgot to do earlier is I forgot to pull the flaps up before. So now we're going to do that and fly properly. And that's why we were having trouble climbing earlier. Oh, this is pretty. So where is the statue that everybody knows about? Is that to the left or the right? Kenneth is wondering, can you use a 3070? Oh yeah, definitely. So, you know, there's a good amount of settings on this, and they just significantly optimized everything. So right now I'm running at 4K at like ultra settings or whatever, and on the 3080, we're pulling about 40 frames per second, which can give you a sense as to some of the challenges that you face running this with pristine graphics. But, I mean, when you're in the air, the detail on the ground is not as important. So it must be the international airport, or at least the international side of the airport there. I'm on the Cessna runway, which again, we didn't need much for, right? See, this is how you're supposed to play this game, is in the cockpit, because you have to be looking at your instruments and getting a feel for what it really feels like. But I will say, like, having been in airplanes sitting in the front, especially the airport that I'm very familiar with, this feels very right to me. The only thing I got to work on here is my trim. So the trim, so take a look at this right here, the vertical airspeed. So when I'm not touching the controls, I'm pitching up, partly because I'm under a lot of power. So we're going to dial back some of the engine power here a little bit. And what we want to do is adjust the pitch trim. Oops, it's a little sensitive there. Hang on a second. Wrong direction. The pitch trim here, what that does is it sets your elevators to a spot so you don't have to continually hold the yoke in place. You get it to a spot where you're kind of pitched to the zero here, and that means that you're flying level. Now, when they're training you, you look for, and this is what you got to adjust on for your own height, but you initially learn just by looking out the window what your level flight point is. And a lot of times you draw on the windshield so you know visually what that zero line is. So you can see right now, even though it looks like we're flying level, we're not. We're actually descending a little bit. So it's just a matter of getting this, and this is like one of the things that's hard to simulate. So we're just trying to pitch this so it's a little more sensitive than I think it should be. So now I'm pitching down a little too much. So the pitch just feels a little crazy for me right now. There we go. Because then you can kind of fly it straight. And then, of course, there's obviously, you know, weather conditions and whatever, so you got to kind of adjust for all that too. And our airspeed is a little hot, partly because we are pitching down and picking up speed because we're flying towards the ground. And now we're going in the other direction. Yeah, so there's some things I just have to, like I said, I'm still trying to get a feel for all of this. But it looks like you may as well just be on a real airplane. I mean, it's just amazing how real it looks and feels. Sometimes a little too real when you're about to hit something. And Jared makes another good point here. The file, yeah, it is an enormous game. And you download the game, and you still have to get like all the other supplemental content that they download too. I'm going to have Matt come over and give us a proper flight lesson. So my friend Matt is a pilot of many things, and he jumps out of airplanes. So what's great about Matt is that Matt can take you flying, and then if he screws up, he can hand you a parachute that's properly packed, and you can just jump out. So he is a professional skydiver and a pilot and a pyrotechnician. He's a man of many traits. I got to come and visit him soon. This is Rio. Yeah, we'll do Orlando next. I'm curious to see if we can buzz Disney World. Is that the statue up there? I think that might be. And then you have like this time speed up thing up here. I think you do. Let's see. Oh, so you could set a flight plan and then like jump ahead to certain spots. So if you don't want to go through just the keeping the plane from crashing part, you can get to like the landings and stuff. Recipe says thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the fact that it looks like I'm flying well. I'm very good at. If you were in the plane with me, you would not have that opinion right now. Matt though says he's a jack of all trades, but a master of few. And yeah, Jared, I do the same thing. Right now we're running off the hard drive, but I have a bunch of SSDs. In fact, when we do game testing on the computers that we get in for review, we actually install Steam games on the external hard drive, and then we don't have to download them every time. Because some of these games are huge, so for sure. Brand Tech is here, hello. And Eric is going to the B&H store next Thursday. I've been there a couple of times. It is a fun place to go. What's nice is there's a lot of great expertise. Okay, here's the statue, the Redeemer. And Matt, yes, definitely. The anchors on the Cessna are not for water landings, because that'll flip your plane right over. That's the one problem with the Cessnas, is that if you land in the water, if you have an emergency landing, the plane will flip over. So it's hard to. You got to be really careful. Hopefully, we can fly around it here without hitting it. Woo! See, the Xbox controller is it's so. You need like a yoke with a lot more travel to it. Yeah, I'll do. Oh, we're about to stall. Whoa, we're stalling. So I needed a little bit more altitude before I came over there. Now we have a lot of airspeed, so we can we can bleed off some of that airspeed here going around. And if you were in this plane right now, you would not be happy with me. And you might want to make sure that you're. See, that beep is the stall alert. So I'm guessing if I had an engine failure right now, like there's no good option here. Like I can go into the water and flip over, or I can try to soft land into some trees, and like the trees will break as you hit it. But you know, it's luck of the draw what you hit on the way down. I don't know if, let's try it here. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do an engine out, right? So we're going to just pull the. I'll just turn it off. I think I can do that. Let's see. That's the parking brake. That's the primer, alternator, battery, magneto, landing lights. I'll just go. We'll go idle power. So we'll just kind of simulate an engine out. So now we got to keep an eye on our airspeed. And so the new avionics that are out there, you have the ability to have it give you a glide path. Like it'll show you how far you can go before you run out of energy. But you don't want to pitch up because you need the airspeed to be able to find some place to go. And so we're going to look around here and see, like, we don't want to land on those houses or those buildings. I mean, I guess the best option is probably to shoot for, see now I'm at it, see what happened? I took too long, right? Because I would have said probably to go get in the water over there. So at this point, now watch what happens if I pitch up over these trees to try to clear those. We're going to lose a ton of airspeed. So look at the airspeed right here. We're going to lose a bunch of it when I go over these trees here, because this is what you don't want to do when you don't have energy. Although I could make the beach. So we're going to go for that beach over there. Let's see if we can make it. And you don't want to stall, because if you run out of airspeed and stall, you're screwed. So like this is the challenge, right? Oh, is there a road down there? Oh, I could hit that road, couldn't I? I wish I saw that earlier. So I think I've got enough to get over to this beach here. Let's see. So remember, we are running without any engine power, so we will see the airspeed here drop. And when we get below 40, we're done for, because then the plane just drops. So you want to be in control and just kind of fly the plane the whole way down to the ground. And you probably put your flaps down, I think, at the last minute here, because we can actually put it down right on this beach here. So I'm going to slow down with some flaps. And yeah, we're going to get down on this beach. Now, you would hope there's no people on the beach. There we go. Yeah, there's the flip over. That's from the wheels. See that? So that was a simulated engine out. And now we're floating out to sea. So I wouldn't call that a crash, because we survived the landing. It just went into the water. So there you go. And Matt said next time if you want to turn the engine off, hit the magnetos. Matt wants to know, are there any helicopters? I don't think there are. Let's take a look. Recipe Pop said, I'm getting out of this plane. Some folks asked about the maximum graphics, or the lowest graphics card. I think there was answered 970. Yeah, I think you probably want to be in like, probably 1080-ish territory, 1060 maybe. Graphics settings. So I'll pull up what we have for graphics settings right now. So let me pull that up for you. So the graphics are set as follows. Well, I have VSync on. Not that it matters, because we have not even gotten close to 60. So global rendering quality is set to ultra. So this is what it's set at. And this is at 4K. So the 3080 is doing pretty well, but we're not hitting 60. We're generally in the 40 FPS territory. And then there was a question about aircraft type. So let's go back to the world map here. Yeah, I don't think they've got helicopters yet. So there's 24 planes. This is the Game Pass version. So these are all aircraft, or airplanes, fixed wing. There's a biplane. That's pretty cool. Let's try that one. All right, we're going to do the biplane. And we're going to do... here, we're going to go to this airport. So we're going to go buzz NASA, and then we're going to go to Orlando. How's that sound? And then I got to run in a minute. So I got to go wash my car. So let's try this out real quick. So this is the Space Coast Airport. So Matt Reese, if you're still watching, this is like down the street from the hotel we stay at with the Waffle House. This is in Titusville. Actually, you know what? We could actually just take off from NASA itself. We'll do that next. So let's give this. I haven't flown this plane yet. Now this plane, as you can see, we have a restricted view angle because this plane has a tail gear. So when you're taking off, initially, you are kind of pointing upwards. So we're going to, where's the brake? I don't know where the brake is on this thing. That's the throttle. That's the propeller. Engine, cow flaps. There's a lot of stuff on this plane I'm not familiar with. Let's just put the throttle up and see what happens. Maybe there's no brakes. Yeah, there's no brakes on this one. Whoa, the rudder's got a little bit of sensitivity to it. And so you can see how you have to look out the side to understand where you're even going. Come on, baby, take off. Yeah, we're not going to fly this one too well. Hang on. Yeah, that one I've got to learn a little bit more about. Let's change the airplane. We'll go back to our. Actually, you know what we could do? We could start that plane in the air. So what you can do here instead is we can. Here, we'll do shuttle landing. I think it should be in here. Yeah. So we're going to go from the shuttle landing facility. And actually what we're going to do is start from the approach. I think we can do that. So you can actually start from different places. I'm pretty sure you can do the approach on that, right? Let's see. So I think you can start it when you're in the air, but I'm not sure about that. I remember you could do that, I just can't find the spot to start from. So let's just fly a plane that I can actually fly. Here, let's do the TBM 930. This is one of the YouTubers I watch flies one of these things. This is a very powerful aircraft. It's a very fast plane. So we're going to take off from the shuttle landing facility where they would land the space shuttles. David S. has a question for a flight instructor. So David, why don't you ask? Yes, they do have some jets. Robert, they've got a Citation. I know that. Here, we'll fly the TBM here for a minute, and then we'll look for that. All right, so now, this is a beautiful plane, isn't it? I think that's the landing gear. Manual override, throttle. There's got to be a parking brake on this one. I'm not sure where it is. Here, I'll just throttle up and see what happens. Yeah, we got a parking brake. Parking brake engage. Oh, here it is. Just the left stick there. Okay. Whoa. Keep an eye on that rudder. Get the outside view in this one. So we should see, the biggest building you'll see is the vehicle assembly building, wherever that may be. Shouldn't be far from here. So what we just took off from is the landing strip for the space shuttle. I gotta put the gear up. Hang on a second. Gear up. Oops. Hopefully I didn't damage them in the gear unsafe. Uh-oh. I think I had a little too much airspeed on those gears. Well, they did go up. All right, we're probably fine. Where is the VAB? Let's see. Because we were here, so Matt Reese, who's on the chat, he's still here, so we were there, so then it went back. It's got to be over this way. Hang on. Sorry, I'm messing up the airplane totally here. Ah! Yep, not what you want to do. We're going to try that again. Yeah, I love going to the Waffle House at night. I went there at like midnight or so, and there was definitely was quite a crowd there. Now, there is a feature of this title which allows you to launch like a little drone, and where is it? Navlog, camera. Yeah, here we go. So let's do. Because we were here. There, I think that might be the VAB down there. Because we actually watched them tow the shuttle back. Yeah, I'm not sure how accurate this is to what it really looks like, because there's a building down that way, the shuttle landing facility. Okay, so let's go over there. So we'll get the plane in the air. I think I made a big hole on that one. So let's take off here again. Now, how do I get my camera back in the... There we go. Okay, let's try this again. So what happened was I was getting too distracted by all the things. The reason why I'm moving so much is because this airplane in particular is a really powerful engine, and it's super fast, and it just pulls that plane. There we go. Now we're taking off better. All right, so the shuttle landing facility is down over there. I hit the gear again. Gear up. Heading G. Oh, sorry. I think I must have gotten. There it goes. There they go. I hit the flaps. Yeah, that's part of my problem. Because we were, if Matt, so see where that tower is? I watched the space shuttle. I was next to that tower, and watched it land over here. I have video of that. It's crazy. It comes in. So like a plane like this, you know, you land what, like less than 100 knots, or there, you know, like that Cessna we were landing at 40 knots. The shuttle lands at like 200 knots, 200 miles an hour. It comes in like twice as fast as a 747 would. All right, so now. So we watched them tow it back. So they put us along the road here. So we have a video. I have video of them towing the shuttle back through here. What I'm looking for is the VAB. That's Cape Canaveral Air Station, skid strip. There's the... It should be over this way. That looks like one of the two. Focus on the nearest airport landmark. Merritt Island is over there. Space Coast Regional. Matt says 250 knots. Matt was there with me. It was crazy watching that thing land. I could not believe how fast it was coming in. It was nuts. And you think about it, like, remember how we glided into that beach before? So if you are the space shuttle, you are gliding in from space at that speed. You only have one shot at the runway and getting it right. So is that the VA? Is that? I think that's it. You know what? It doesn't look right, does it? There's no building there. I see the shadow, but I don't see. That's why it's off. All right, let me do some power here. Why is my throttle not going back? I think that's it. Yeah, it is it, because there is, so that's the press site down there. That's where we watch the launch from, right over there. That should be the VAB, although it doesn't look like the VAB. I can't seem to get my throttle to pull back. I'm at like 95%, and this thing is not responding. Hang on, let's get back in the cockpit here and see if we can. All right, let's pull that throttle back a little bit. So when you get into these high-performance airplanes, the skill level changes dramatically, and it is far less forgiving than than the Cessna might be. And then if you go down too fast, you can't go too fast in these things either because they'll fall apart. So when you watch like coverage from NASA, the flagpole is right over there, and that's where we watch the launches from. It's right there, and that's supposed to be the VAB, but it's not. There's no VAB there. It's just like a warehouse. So that big tall building, the big NASA building, is usually right there. So yeah, they're missing some detail here, which is disappointing. Now here is maybe we'll try to land this thing. I must have put auto throttle on because I can't control the throttles here. Well, we got a nice big runway here, a nice long one, so we should be able to bring this down even if we have trouble here. The gear doesn't seem to be working, maybe because we're going too fast. There we go, now the gear is down. All right, so let's get this thing situated here. There we go. So we're not landing as well as we did last time, and we're going way too fast. So now we're landing a little slower than the space shuttle, just to give you an idea as to how fast the shuttle came in. But we got plenty of runway here, so let's just give it a shot, see what we can do. And we're kind of floating here because we've got a lot of airspeed to get rid of. Woo! There we go. Crash. Boom. Okay. One more. Let's do, and I got to run. Let's do Orlando. Let's see if we can see Disney World here. That'd be kind of fun. All right. So world map. Let's go depart from MCO, which is Orlando International. So I mean, the high performance planes are fun, but you really got to be careful with those because they tend to be pretty crazy. So here, we'll fly the Citation. There was a jet request earlier. So I don't think there's anything closer to Disney World. Super chat from Eric's Variety Channel. Thank you very much. Yeah, I should find, yeah, Matt Robinson said, I should try to find the original, because I have the original on my Apple II. It is not anywhere, I mean, it's just like, it runs at like 5 frames per second. It is so slow. But thank you very much for your super chat. My wife wouldn't let me watch, yeah, this is from Game Pass too, by the way. So you can get additional aircraft. But you can pay for them, and they have a bunch that they've modeled there. And David says, oh, Orlando Business Airport, that probably be the better place to fly our Citation from. So I've been in the front seat of a Citation before. That is a lot of fun. Okay. But you can't touch anything. All right, so we got the parking brake is on, so we're going to release that. And let's just throttle this sucker up, see how we do. There we go. Got to keep an eye on the airspeed. I can't really see it very well. Oh wow, we're already at. I thought we were at V1 speed there. There we go, left off. Take off, get off the ground. Oh, oh, oh. So this is why, like, you want to have a flight yoke, because it's. Okay, we're getting terrain warnings. We're not climbing fast enough. So let's get this. Some of these planes are kind of hard to get up in the air, and then once you get them there, you're in better shape. And we got to retract our flaps. Whoa! And you can see how much faster these jets go, right? So you really got to keep an eye on it. But like, this is like an area where I think, airspeed is too much. So now we're at risk of flying the airplane apart. See, like, you don't want to be going this fast. And to pull up, is that lightning? To pull up at this speed is dangerous also because it's putting a lot of stress on the airframe. So you've got all these things to worry about. But it's a pretty citation. So this plane will likely fall apart in a minute if we're not careful here. For some reason, my throttles are not responding. And this plane in particular, and most of these high-performance planes, like when you are in the air with these things, you are, I think it wants me to acknowledge the caution that I have here. These things, once you get in the air, tend to fly themselves. Like you just set the autopilot and let it do its thing. Running through some clouds here. The good news is that I was able to get it in the air. But I think you can also get a real appreciation as to how much you need to learn to be able to fly an aircraft like this, because these things are very powerful and unforgiving. Oh, the left button plus A. I see. I'm not sure where Disney World is. Maybe it's down here. So we are definitely in the danger zone at this airspeed. Oh yeah, we're going to totally ruin the engine here. Yeah, our engines are way overheated here, and we are not in good shape. So I want to lock the throttles. Oops. Let's dial the throttles back a little bit here. We'll save the engines. Yeah, when I flew in the Citation, one of the things the pilot had to keep an eye on was the rated thrust. I'm trying to see. His avionics were different than these are. So we had to keep it at a certain level based on altitude. But I think the plane is happier now. And we are at a very, we're about 16,000 feet now, so we're up there. Yeah, so you're not going to have me fly your Citation anytime soon. Disney is to the west of the airport. Yeah, we're definitely not flying this well. It looks nice though, doesn't it look pretty? And now we're running, so it's interesting. It depends on like what altitude you're at and the level of detail. So now that we're higher, the game is actually running. If you look up here in the corner, we're actually running at about 50 frames per second now, which is not where we were before. This plane will go to 40,000 feet, by the way, so you could really get cranking. Let me do a loop-de-loop. Yeah, how about that? You're not going to do that in a real one. I guess you could, but you don't. I would imagine the owner of the airplane would not be happy. Let's see if we can really take it off here. Oh, see then it flew apart. Mark Bollinger says, remind me not to get in a plane with me. That is a good idea. That is a good idea. So that's why I think you want to start with the Cessna and go through all of the flight instruction and then slowly work your way into the jets, because that's where it gets really tricky. And thank you for your super chat, Mark. Much appreciated. So yeah, so I just wanted to play around with this for a little bit. Figured I would get some footage captured, which I did, and yeah, good stuff. So that is that. And my plan now is to take a little weekend time. Eric is wondering, do they have the BD 700? I don't think so. I mean, you could probably buy it. There's a bunch of aircraft that you can purchase. So the Game Pass version, which is what I'm running, has so you get like your basics. You got the Airbus, the 747. And it's kind of crazy because like I could, like you would never take this, you would never do this, but like I could have the 747 take off from the little airport, or attempt to, the little airport by my house. It'll never, I mean, it needs a lot more runway than this. But you could do that. So, you know, we've got kind of ridiculous. Like this plane's not going anywhere. It barely fits in the airport, let alone the. I don't know why they started it in the middle of the runway. I guess maybe because the tail would be hanging off the end. So they'll let you try, right? But you're not taking off. You're not taking off here. You gotta figure out how to, I guess you can just hit A and that'll bring all the throttles up. I mean, you can barely get rolling before you hit the end of that runway. So this is why you wouldn't even fly that Citation out of this airport. I think it's only like 2,400 feet, the runway, so. Yeah, it needs a lot more runway than is provided. So, there you go. So, yeah, we can try Groton real quick, David Bound. Let's try that. Then I got to run. Let's go to Departure Airport, and let's look for Groton. So this is by the nuclear subbase in Groton, Connecticut. Actually, a friend of mine used to fly jets out of there. Dave was wondering, we did Chester, the Chester Airport in Chester, Connecticut. We did do that one, and now we're going to do Groton here and see if we can get the 747 to get enough airspeed out of here. So we'll keep it super simple here. We'll see if we have enough runway. Kind of starts you like mid-field here. Not this time. Okay, we're in a better spot. We might get enough. It might just be enough to get off the ground. Let's see. Oh, tail strike. Yeah, we could do it. We did it. Oh, hit the wrong button. I just killed the throttles here. Let's get them back up. Hopefully I have them back up before we stall or run out of airspeed. This certainly does not handle like the Cessna does. And for some reason my engines have failed. I'm not sure what's happening there. Let's go back into the cockpit for a second here and see what's going on. Oops. Yeah, get these suckers up here. Oh, you know what? The auto throttle is on. I don't know how to turn that off. That's probably the problem we had in the other one. You would think, though, that the auto throttle would want to keep the plane in the air as opposed to having it land in the ocean here, but that seems to be what's about to happen. So there you go. So Dave, here, let me pull up the Cessna, and you can tell me if this looks close to what Groton looks like from the cockpit. Let's take a look. Let's try that one more time. And they've got like every airport in the world mapped into this for the most part. So you've got a really deep cut of airports here. And we'll get back in the Cessna. Look at this one. That looks pretty cool. There's another the DA62. Does that run on diesel? I heard that one runs on diesel fuel. I may have that confused with something else. Let's try this guy. Grayson Petty, thank you for the super chat. So Grayson used to play the Flight Simulator 2000, another classic edition. Yeah, I think this one really surprised and delighted a lot of folks, right? Because it didn't come out of nowhere necessarily, but I think it was something that people were really happy to see get released. So this is the problem, though, is like the reason why I'm flying so poorly is that the Xbox controller is really hard to manage the rudders properly. So maybe, David, you can tell me if this looks close to what you remember Groton looking like. And so this plane has a back seat and a front seat. And actually, there's a YouTube video of some guy like hopping out and starting the engine from a shut down state by just climbing around the side of the airplane. This one looks like a lot of fun, a real stick and rudder kind of deal. But having like living around here and seeing this, it looks pretty legit. So yeah, it's good stuff. All right, I gotta run, but I just wanted to continue capturing footage for this, and then I'll be back. We'll see what. Not sure. Maybe tomorrow or definitely on Monday or Tuesday. I got in a Zen 3 laptop, so it's got the Ryzen 5800U, and this is one without the discrete GPU, so it's got enough to give us a good sense as to what Zen 3 versus Zen 2 is going to look like. So there you go. Yes, I think they moved a lot of the military stuff out of there. And thank you, by the way, for the super chat, Grayson, if I did not thank you already. And I also noticed, David, that they didn't have the vehicle assembly building from NASA modeled either. So that is interesting. This is a good question from George. I don't know how well it would run on a GPU-less machine, but it's worth trying. I guess if you think about it, you know, the Xbox can run it, so maybe it's possible. So I could probably try to install that and take a look at it. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and I will be back again soon. We've got, actually, you know what I've got coming up tomorrow morning is the mouse that I've been playing with here. So this got sent to my mother by accident. This is the Logitech G305. It's $38 right now, And it's like a fully programmable mouse, and it's wireless, and it's pretty good for the price. So I got it by accident, and I said, oh, let's review it. And it was one of those things I was going to do an extras channel review, and then it turned into like a really in-depth thing there. So that was that. David wants to know, will it run on an M1 Mac? Not yet. It's Windows only right now. But you do get it for free on Xbox Game Pass. And it runs on the Xbox now, so you can play it on the Xbox Series S and X, but not the old ones. Ajian wants to know, what time is it? It is 3:15 p.m. here, so I am 12 hours your opposite. And talk to you later, Lou Bear. And thanks for tuning in, Dave. Yeah, everybody get out there and enjoy the weather if you have nice weather where you are, because it's really nice where I am right now. So I'm going to go wash my car because it's filthy. I haven't washed my car ever. Well, maybe I did once. I don't remember, but it hasn't been washed in a long time. So I got a car wash kit. I'm going to go wash my car. Take a little relaxing afternoon. So that is going to do it for now. And thank you all for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And if I have a free moment, I might pop back up on here once again. Okay, catch you in a little bit. Bye-bye.